I thought it was just another late night ride. Until the bride whispered something that turned my stomach inside out. Driving rideshare in Austin at night is usually predictable chaos: bar crawls, frat kids puking, couples fighting in the backseat. But weddings are their own animal. People dressed like they're stepping out of magazines, champagne breath, tips that swing from stingy to absurd. I take them because money's better, and because sometimes you catch a glimpse of joy that feels contagious. That Friday night, though, joy wasn't the souvenir I drove away with. It was close to 11:15 when the ping came in. Pick up the Driscoll Hotel, downtown. The note read, "Bridal party. Please use rear entrance for privacy." That already told me this wasn't your average Uber ride. The Driscoll was old money Austin: marble floors, ballroom chandeliers, and price tags that could drown a working man in debt. When I pulled up, the sidewalk outside was littered with sparkler sticks and confetti, like a parade had just passed. A photographer crouched near the curb, snapping the couple's getaway shot, while a wedding planner in a headset jogged over to me. "You're Dan, right?" she asked, breathless. "Yep. Lift for Whitmore?" "Exactly. Take them to the Driscoll residences. Back entrance, please." Now imagine what happens next. But before that, smash that like button and hit subscribe, cause the craziest part is just getting started. "Keep it discreet," she waved, and suddenly the bride and groom appeared, all glitter and nerves. Ava, the bride, looked stunning but exhausted, her white dress clinging with sweat in the humid Texas night. Cole, the groom, was tall, perfect jawline, tuxedo sharp enough to cut. A best man, Trevor, I'd learn later, shoved a garment bag into my trunk, grinning to wide. "No one saw anything, right?" Trevor joked, winking as he slammed the trunk. Everyone laughed too quickly, the kind of laugh that sounds like a cover. They slid into my back seat, Ava still clutching a bouquet that was more wilted than fresh. I started the car. "Congrats, y'all. Big night, perfect night," Cole said firmly, squeezing Ava's hand. She exhaled slowly, like someone surfacing from underwater. Downtown Austin blurred by. We passed the bridge where bats swarmed at dusk, the neon glow over Lady Bird Lake, bars still alive with music. I tried to focus on the road, but the rearview mirror had a story of its own. Ava's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Cole looked too rehearsed, like every move was for an audience no longer there. Cole's phone buzzed. A text from Trevor lit the screen. I wasn't trying to snoop, but when you've been driving as long as I have, reflections in glass become second nature. It read, "Valet handled. Cameras on side lot down for maintenance." Cole angled the phone away, but I'd already seen enough to make my gut clench. Their voices dropped. Maybe they thought the music on the radio gave them privacy. Maybe they just forgot drivers have ears. "There's a mark," Ava whispered. Cole's jaw tightened. "It's nothing, just a scrape from the garage railing." "It wasn't the rail," Ava said, her voice thin. Silence filled the car, heavy enough to make the seatbelts feel like restraints. Then Cole leaned in, his tone sharp. "If anyone asks, we got in at midnight. Your dad will take care of it." Trevor's voice cut in from a speakerphone I hadn't noticed was on. The call ended abruptly. "Sorry, but dial," Trevor said quickly. When Cole glanced down, my palms were sweating on the wheel. I'd heard enough to know something was off, but not enough to make sense of it. We reached the residences, a luxury building that made my whole year's salary look like pocket change. At the private entrance, a valet hustled over. Parked nearby was a white Tesla, ribbon from earlier still tied around the side mirror like some kind of trophy. In the sodium light, I noticed what they hadn't wanted me to: a fresh crescent scrape on the rear bumper. White plastic gouged, with the faint smear of red paint across it. Ava followed my eyes. Her smile flickered. She shoved a folded bill into my hand, almost desperate. "Thank you for the ride, Dan." "No worries," I said, pocketing it. "Happy life." They walked away, picture perfect from behind, but up close, the edges looked frayed. Back in my car, my phone buzzed with the local alert: Austin police seeking witnesses to a hit and run on South Congress near Monroe. Incident time, approximately 10:47 p.m. Vehicle possibly white, rear quarter damage. I looked at my trip history pickup at 11:15. Coincidence? Maybe, but my stomach said otherwise. I stared at the folded bill Ava had given me. $50. Generous, but it didn't feel like gratitude. It felt like a payoff. The city hummed around me, neon and noise, but in my little Camry it was silent. The kind of silence that presses in, daring you to break it. I told myself I hadn't seen anything. I told myself it wasn't my business. But I'd already heard words I was never meant to hear. And once you hear something like that, you can't just unhear it. I woke up Saturday with that weird knot in my stomach, the kind you get after a dream that sticks like glue, but you can't fully remember. Only this wasn't a dream. I remembered everything. The whispered words, the scrape on the Tesla, the too generous tip, and that police alert about a hit and run. The $50 bill Ava had given me sat on my dresser, crisp as new. Every time I looked at it, it felt heavier, like it was burning a hole in the wood. I made coffee, scrolled my phone, tried to convince myself it was coincidence. White cars are everywhere in Austin. Scratches happen. Newlyweds get stressed, say weird things. But my brain wouldn't shut up. The pieces kept rearranging themselves into the same ugly picture. At 10 a.m., my phone buzzed. A push notification from the Austin American-Statesman. Woman critically injured in South Congress hit and run. Witnesses describe white Tesla, damage to rear bumper. My mouth went dry. Same time, same place, same kind of car. I told myself again, not my business. Don't get involved. But it already was my business, whether I wanted it or not. Because I had been there. Because I had heard things. And because, let's be real, if cops connected the dots, I was the guy who picked them up minutes later. Around noon, I headed out to grab tacos. As I walked back to my car, I noticed a message in the Lyft app. From Whitmore Wedding Coordinator. It read, "Thanks again for the ride last night. If you found anything left behind in your car, please text this number." Attached was a phone number. I hadn't found anything, but I knew damn well that wasn't the real reason for the message. I debated for hours. Should I call? Should I ignore it? Finally, curiosity got the better of me. I texted, "Nothing left behind. Car's clean." The reply came fast still. "Could you swing by the Whitmore family office downtown? We'd like to thank you personally. Monday, noon. Don't mention this to anyone." Chills ran down my spine. Nobody invites their Lyft driver for a thank you at an office. That night, I checked my dash cam. It doesn't do video, just audio, to cover my ass in case of drunk passengers. I scrubbed through the file. There it was. Ava's voice. Faint but clear, it wasn't the rail. Coles, if anyone asks. We got in at midnight, then Trevor's brief intrusion on speakerphone. My skin crawled. I had proof. Not much, but enough to make my gut twist. I stared at my laptop, wondering if I should email the file to the cops, or maybe to a news station, or delete it altogether. Each option felt like stepping into a different hell. Sunday, things got worse. I was out on another ride when I noticed the car behind me. Same white sedan, tinted windows. It followed me through 3 turns, then peeled off. Maybe paranoia, but my pulse was a drumline in my ears. By the time I finished my shift, I felt eyes on me everywhere. That evening, Eric, my buddy, dropped by. I spilled everything: the ride, the whispers, the scrape, the news article, the message from the coordinator. Eric whistled low. "Dude, that's not a thank you. That's a bribe in disguise. They're making sure you stay quiet." I haven't said anything. I protested. "Yeah, but you could, and they know that. Look, man, you gotta be careful. You're a pawn on somebody's chessboard, and pawns get sacrificed first." By Monday morning, my nerves were wrecked. I hadn't slept. The family office meeting loomed like a storm cloud. I drove downtown, parked a block away, and just sat there, hands gripping the wheel, sweat soaking my shirt. I imagined walking in a polished office, Ava's father shaking my hand, Cole smirking, someone sliding an envelope across a desk, maybe full of money, maybe full of threats. I imagined cops instead, me in cuffs, charged as an accessory. And I imagined the woman from the hit and run, lying in a hospital bed, fighting for her life. Every version ended with me screwed. I turned the engine off, sat in silence, and realized something. No matter what I chose, I was already in it. The only question was whether I wanted to keep pretending, or finally admit the truth. I almost didn't go. Sitting in my car outside the downtown office building, I watched people in suits hustle in and out, sipping iced lattes, scrolling phones, living normal lives. And me, I was sweating through my shirt, clutching the steering wheel like it could anchor me to reality. At exactly noon, I killed the engine and forced myself to step out. The building towered over me: glass, steel, and money. Inside, the lobby smelled of lemon polish and power. A receptionist smiled too brightly when I said I was here to see Mr. Whitmore. "Of course," she said. "He's expecting you." That phrase, "expecting you," sent chills down my back. The elevator ride to the 12th floor felt like a slow climb into a lion's den. When the doors opened, a man in a gray suit was waiting. Mid-50s, expensive haircut, smile like a blade. This had to be Ava's father, Richard Whitmore. Daniel, thank you for coming, he said warmly, shaking my hand with the grip just a little too firm. Please, step into my office. His office looked more like a penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows, shelves of law books, framed photos of charity galas. He gestured for me to sit in a leather chair while he poured whiskey into crystal glasses, even though it was barely lunchtime. "To hard work," he said, raising his glass. I sipped, the burn in my throat matching the burn in my gut. "I understand you drove my daughter and son-in-law on their wedding night," Whitmore said, lowering himself into the chair across from me. His voice was calm, practiced. "I hope they weren't too much trouble." "Not at all," I said quickly. He smiled. "Good. Weddings can be stressful. People say things they don't mean, things that might sound strange if taken out of context." His eyes pinned me like a butterfly on a board. I swallowed. "Yeah, I guess." Whitmore leaned forward slightly. "Daniel, you seem like a hardworking man. I respect that, but I also know how gossip works. A whisper can ruin lives, even when it's not true, especially when it's not true." I nodded, my throat tight. He slid an envelope across the desk. "Thick. Too thick for just thank you money. This is a token of appreciation for your discretion. My family values privacy. Surely you understand." I stared at the envelope but didn't touch it. My hands stayed locked in my lap. Whitmore's smile didn't falter, but his eyes hardened. "Let me be clear, Daniel. If certain unfortunate rumors were to reach the wrong ears, it wouldn't just hurt my daughter and her husband. It could damage charities, businesses, reputations built over decades. People depend on us. Do you really want to be the reason good people suffer?" The room felt smaller, the air heavier. I forced myself to speak. "I didn't plan to say anything." "That's good," he said smoothly. "But planning isn't enough. Silence must be absolute." The door opened. Cole stepped inside, still in a suit, tie loosened, smirk plastered across his face. "Hey, Dan the driver," he said like we were old buddies. "Hope Dad's treating you well." My stomach churned. Whitmore stood. "Daniel, thank you again. Think of us as friends. And remember, friends don't betray each other." I mumbled something like "of course," and stood up. My legs felt rubbery as I walked out, envelope still sitting on the desk. Outside, the sun felt blinding. I gulped the hot air, trying to breathe again. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Mr. Reyes?" a woman's voice asked. "Yeah, this is Detective Nguyen with APT. We'd like you to come in to talk about an incident on South Congress. We have reason to believe you might have information." My blood turned to ice. She continued, "We're not saying you're in trouble, but your rideshare logs put you near the scene. We'd appreciate your cooperation." I muttered that I'd call back and hung up. I stood there on the sidewalk, heart pounding, torn into directions. On one side, the Whitmores, powerful, wealthy, with eyes everywhere and threats wrapped in polite smiles. On the other, the police, who could easily turn me into a suspect if I stayed quiet. And stuck in the middle, me, a rideshare driver who just wanted tacos and tips. But I already knew tacos and tips were long gone. Now it was about survival. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. I sat in a metal chair across from Detective Nguyen and her partner, Detective Hardy, trying to keep my hands from shaking on the table. "Mr. Reyes," Nguyen began, calm but direct, "we appreciate you coming in. You were driving near South Congress the night of the hit and run. We just want to clarify what you saw or heard." I hesitated, then pulled out my phone. "I have something from my dash audio. It might not mean much," but Nguyen leaned forward as I pressed play. First, Ava's voice, "It wasn't the rail." Then Cole's, "If anyone asks." We got in at midnight, and finally, Trevor's brief interruption, "Sorry, but dial." The room went still. Hardy shot Nguyen a look. She stopped the recording, folded her hands, and said, "This is significant, Mr. Reyes. Very significant." Panic stabbed my chest. "I didn't come here to get dragged into a case. I'm just a driver." Nguyen's eyes softened. "We're not saying you're guilty of anything, but right now, you're a witness, and that makes you important." Hardy wasn't as gentle. "It also makes you a target." The words dropped like a weight. "We can offer protection if you testify," Nguyen said, "but we need your full cooperation." Who said what? "What you saw in that car, everything." I rubbed my face. "Do I have a choice?" Hardy leaned back. "You always have a choice, but silence doesn't erase what you already know." Leaving the station felt like stepping out of one fire into another. My phone buzzed before I even got to my car. "Unknown number." I answered. "Daniel," a man's voice said smoothly. "Cole, we heard you went to the cops." "That's..." Disappointing, my knees went weak. How the hell did we have friends everywhere? Cole interrupted. But listen, I'm not angry. Not yet. We just want to remind you family matters shouldn't be confused with crimes. Do you understand? His tone was calm, but the undertone was sharp enough to cut. I didn't say anything. I lied. Cole chuckled. That's good. Keep it that way. Because next time, we won't just send messages. Click. The line went dead. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at my door, waiting for another envelope to appear. Every sound in the hallway made me jump. I barely slept. By morning, I was running on fumes, brain buzzing with fear. I checked the news. The woman hit on South Congress was still in critical condition. She had a name now, Maria Lopez, 34, mother of 2. Seeing her photo broke something in me. A smiling woman holding kids on her lap. Not a statistic, a life. I realized silence wasn't just about me anymore. But speaking up, that could end me. I didn't want to go back to the station, but by Tuesday, Detective Nguyen left 3 voicemails and even one text that read, "This is urgent. Call me back ASAP." So I did. And when I walked into that gray-walled room again, I knew there was no walking out untouched. Nguyen and Hardy had folders spread across the table. Photos of the accident scene, street cam stills, medical reports. One image froze me, Maria Lopez, the victim, hooked up to machines, her face swollen, tubes everywhere. "This is who we're fighting for," Nguyen said, tapping the photo. "She deserves truth." I swallowed. "What do you need from me?" "Your full statement," Hardy answered. "We need to know exactly what you heard, exactly what you saw. And if you're willing, we need you to testify." The word testify rattled in my chest like a warning bell. Nguyen leaned forward. "Daniel, I'm not gonna lie. This won't be easy. The Whitmore family has money and power. They'll fight. But right now, you're the only one who can give Maria a shot at justice." My palms sweated. "And if I don't?" Hardy smirked grimly. "Then you stay scared for the rest of your life, looking over your shoulder, wondering when they'll decide you're too much of a liability." The truth was, I already was scared, but the photo of Maria wouldn't leave my head. She had kids, 2 little ones. They didn't care about Whitmore money or politics. They just wanted their mom back. I signed the statement. My hand shook so bad it looked like chicken scratch, but it was my name. My choice. Nguyen nodded firmly. "Good. We'll keep you updated. For now, lay low. Don't engage with them." "Yeah," I muttered. "Easy for you to say." I thought giving my statement would make me feel lighter. It didn't. If anything, the air around me grew heavier. That night, as I parked outside my apartment, headlights flared behind me. Too close. Too bright. I turned off the ignition, waiting. The car didn't move. Then a voice called from the shadows. "Nice place you got, Reyes." 2 men stepped forward. Not Cole, not Trevor Muscle. One tall, bald, built like a wall. The other shorter, mean smile. The tall one tossed something onto my hood. An envelope, just like Whitmore's, but this time unsealed. Inside, photos. Me at the police station. Me talking to Nguyen. Me signing the statement. My chest locked up. The short one leaned in. "You think you're smart? You think you can cross the Whitmores and live a normal life? Nah, you testify, you disappear." Simple math. They walked away, casual, like they'd just delivered takeout. I stood frozen until their taillights vanished. My legs barely worked when I staggered upstairs. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number again. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. "Daniel," the voice was soft. Female. "Ava." I nearly dropped the phone. "How did you get my number?" "I had to talk to you," she whispered. "You don't understand. I didn't want this." That night, it was Cole. He was driving. He hit her. I begged him to stop. He wouldn't. He told me to smile for the cameras like nothing happened. Her voice cracked. "I'm trapped, Daniel. My father, my husband, they'll destroy me if I speak. But if you don't, then Maria's blood is on all of us." I pressed the phone tighter, heart racing. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're the only one who might still have a choice." The line went dead. I didn't sleep. By sunrise, I felt like a ghost. Coffee didn't touch the exhaustion. I stared out my window at the world going about its business, people jogging, walking dogs, living like the ground wasn't crumbling under someone else's feet. I thought about Ava, about Cole's smug grin, about Richard Whitmore's cold warning, and I thought about Maria Lopez's children. The choice wasn't clear anymore. It was jagged, messy, and dangerous, but it was mine. By Wednesday, my nerves were shot. Every sound outside my apartment felt like a threat. Every buzz of my phone like a countdown. I'd already signed a statement, already heard Ava's late-night confession. There was no putting the genie back in the bottle. That evening, a text arrived from another unknown number. Dinner, 8 p.m. The Driscoll. One last conversation. I almost deleted it, but curiosity or maybe stupidity dragged me there. The Driscoll's dining room glowed with chandeliers, gold trim, and laughter that felt far away from where I sat. A waiter led me to a private corner booth. Cole was already there, nursing a bourbon. His smirk was intact. "You made it," he said. "I was worried you'd lost your nerve." I didn't sit. "What do you want?" "Simple," Cole said, swirling his glass. "Drop it. No testimony. No cops. We walk away. Everyone wins." I barked a laugh. "Everyone? Tell that to Maria Lopez." His eyes went cold. "Accidents happen. People die every day. But destroy our lives? That helps nobody. Helps our kids." I shot back. The smirk twitched. "You think they'll thank you when you're dead too?" Before I could answer, another voice cut in. "Ava." She slid into the booth beside me, eyes rimmed red. "Stop, Cole. Enough." She turned to me. "Daniel, I told you the truth. Please do what's right. Don't let them bury this." Cole's jaw flexed. "Ava, no," she said firmly. "I'm done lying." For the first time, I saw fear flicker across his face. The moment shattered when my phone buzzed again. A text from Detective Nguyen, warrant approved. Ready to move. Need your confirmation. Cole leaned back, watching me read. "So here we are. You press send, you destroy us. Or you walk away, and you keep breathing." Ava whispered, "Please." I looked between them. The golden couple cracked wide open, their perfect world bleeding onto the tablecloth. My thumb hovered over the screen. One tap, and Maria Lopez's story might finally be heard. One tap, and I might vanish before sunrise. I thought of tacos, of late-night rides, of the quiet life I'd once had. I thought of Maria's kids. I thought of Ava's trembling voice. And I tapped, but not on send. On record. The phone sat face up on the table, blinking red. "Tell me again," I said quietly. "Both of you." Out loud. Cole's eyes widened. Ava's lips parted. The silence stretched. Somewhere in that silence, my life changed forever.